Money and blood don't mix. I once heard that everything business is always business. I also read that God chooses your family, you choose your friends, the same goes for business partners. So the saying, money and blood don't mix, is just what it says. If you want to test a relationship, friendship, or family, do two things. Travel with them or go into business, then you'll see what your bond is made of, and more importantly, what they're made of. To this, I have the first-hand experience. I once went into business with a family member. This is not to throw shade or bash anybody, just telling the story from my point of view. This person needed help. They stated that if they had their own office space, then they would make more money and their life will be better and they could retire, etc. My credit was good and I felt like, hey, why not help out? It would be a good thing. I went to the bank and got a loan. Next, we went to a realtor, completed the necessary paperwork, and the wheels were turning and earning. The first couple of weeks, a great deal of my personal money was spent on registrations. I figured I would recoup the money that I spent off the first check. There's money to be made in logistics. Who wouldn't want to make a few extra dollars? The deal was that we would both make loan payments, in order to pay the loan off in half the time. It sounded like a good plan. To keep the story short, we ran into problems early on. Decisions that went against the finances were made by one party and not jointly. I think that they had expectations that if you took one loan out, why not take out another loan? I was firm that I couldn't afford another loan. Also, the original payment plan never took place. I was the only party making payments on the loan. There was no incentive to believe that going into more debt would pay off. I chose the option to default on the loan as no income was being made. When we had the conversation about what happened, they gave the impression that it wasn't a big deal. We tried, it didn't work out, no harm, no foul. I disagreed with that sentiment. This was my credit that took the hit, my reputation, not theirs. I worked years to get to a level that I was at, and I was proud of that achievement. That was all gone now, and I was thrust into the world of debt collectors and bad credit, all because I wanted to help a family member and went into business with them. In total, I lost approximately $45,000. If I would have been smart and followed the rule, money and blood don't mix, I could have saved that money and, more importantly, on my part, spared the relationship. We talk less these days. The relationship is damaged, even with the act of forgiveness, which I did forgive them. The damage is done, so how do you move forward? You never forget money and blood don't mix. As far as their thoughts, I can't speak to how they feel, but actions speak louder than words. They started working for another company. That leaves one to think if they would have been patient, they could have done that all along, leaving me out of it. I gained absolutely nothing and lost a lot because the relationship will never be the same because of their actions, whether they were intentional or from lack of knowing what was done was done. In hindsight, if a person comes to you and they have a business idea, you have to weigh the risk versus reward. Decide if this person is coming to you because they know that you care about them, which makes it easier for them to take advantage of you. One might say if you were smart, a business person, then you would have done the necessary paperwork and came out on the other side unscathed. Well, I did what I knew to do. Incorporate, hired an accountant, etc. But that doesn't change the facts or the results. One may go into business with a family member or close friend, and if you're on the same page and you communicate, it might work out. More than likely, it would pay off. In my situation, it didn't. Now, I do understand that this could have happened whether this was a relative or not. Business is business always. When you go into business with someone, you should be prepared for losses and gains. However, I'm positive that I would have never gone into business with them had I known the cost. I did it based on emotions and love for that person. Lesson learned. Money and blood don't mix. Things to remember. No is a complete sentence. Never co-sign for a family member, or anyone. If they can't afford it alone, then they can't afford it with you. Don't loan out more than you can give away. If they need a loan this month, chances are they'll be short again next month when it's time to pay you back.